Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this episode of G-Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert, January 16th, 2021. And yeah, doesn't look like my place, does it? Well, that's because it's not. I am not at my place. I am at one of the neighbors' places, and helping them get set up to put in a 2,500 gallon water tank here. So we had to do a little bit of modification. Somebody had already started it a long time ago, prior owners of the property, but they hadn't completed it enough to make it worthwhile. So what we had to do was, hey, by the way, that's called a Joshua tree. The Mormons thought it looked like Joshua with outstretched arms. Well, Joshua sure had a lot of arms. Anyway, yeah. So this is where the pedestal where the new tank is going to go, and that's an 8x8 cinder block area. Now, whoever did the original two courses at the bottom didn't know what a string was or a level was or anything like that. So it's not really straight and level. But what we're going to end up doing on this is the guy that lives here right now is renting. Because the guy that owns is out of country and stuck there because of COVID. So he's kind of like leasing or renting the place to this other guy that's here. So we're going to get this water tank set up because the water tank they had, I'll show you in a little bit, was inside of the shed here, is actually one of those tanks that you would have on the back of a farm tractor to spray chemicals into the fields when you're spraying your DDT or whatever it is. All right, so anyway, I had to add one course on the top of this, and I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. Excuse me. So anyway, we're going to end up filling this here. This is what the guy's going to do while I go take a rest. I let him borrow my wheelbarrow and shovel, and he's going to be scooping up all the rock he can find around here and filling this all the way up to within 3 inches of the top. So with 3 inches on the inside, plus an inch over the top of all of the cinder block, there'll be a level slab on here that's going to end up with the tank sitting on top of it. And that's going to put it up high enough so that the front of the tank and the valve will be right here. And of course, the opening to fill the tank will be on this side. So when the water truck backs in, he can back in right here where my van is and just fill the tank up. So coming off the front of the tank here and going over, and I'm going to punch through the wall right here. There's a stud right there. So I'll be going just on this side of the stud, or the other side of the stud, one of the two. Figure that out when we get to it. But yeah, there's the stud that I was talking about. So it'll be on just on the other side. Now this was the tank, and this is, like I said, this is a spray tank it goes on the back of a tractor for spraying chemicals on your crops. This is not supposed to be a water tank to hold water. Algae grows in this thing like crazy. It's just white. So somebody tried painting it black and making it work, but that doesn't work. You got to really block the sunlight completely out of these things, otherwise algae will grow. So anyway, I ended up cutting the pipe there to drain it out, and it had dead mice and rodents inside of it and all of that stuff. So we're just this is gonna be converted. Gonna cut that right behind the valve, or on the front side of the valve, and gonna put a hose bib connection there, coming through the wall right here on the outside. So when he has his water brought in, fills the 2,500 gallon tank, there'll be some extra water left over to fill this 500 gallon tank. And there's another 500 gallon tank behind that wall over there, a galvanized tank. So that'll be outdoor water for washing things, irrigating plants, things like that. And there'll be a hose bib right on the outside here where you can get water without using the good water, the water that's going to be feeding the cabin for cooking and showering and washing dishes and all that stuff. That'll be all from that one 2,500 gallon tank. So that'll make that last longer if you got water for washing coming out of here and out of the other little tank. So that I'll be doing a pipe run across right there. Now I got to bring electricity out to this wall because there is no electricity out here. There is an outlet right there on the pole, and they thought that the owner thought that was electricity out here, but it isn't. That's just something that you plug an extension cord into, and then you have electricity out here to do whatever you want to do. So I'm going to be bringing it, tunneling it all the way underground here, bringing it up from the house and putting it through the wall here. And I'll put a box right here on the inside of the wall. So that'll be feeding the pressure pump. And the pressure pump will sit right here. So I'm going to pipe off the tank into the pressure pump, and then out of the pressure pump and into that section of pipe going down right there. That runs down to the cabin now. So that the water all of the water in the cabin will be pressurized at that point. So that's going to give them a really good system, and it'll be easy to access here. The pump will be right out here in the wide open, and all the connections will be right here, and have a shut-off valve on both sides of the pump, so you can shut it off if you have to take the pump out of the system, and you don't have water flowing just out into nowhere. All right, so I brought up some pipe and conduit and stuff like that, and some fittings for what's going to happen in the future. But for right now, we just needed to get this pedestal started because I got to get concrete poured on there before we can put any weight on it. So I'm going to have to get the concrete slab filled as soon as possible, so we can give it at least a week's time before we actually put any water into the tank. And that's going to be all steel reinforced slab in there, so it'll hold. All the weight's going to be going downward, and it's going to be on solid rock and gravel that's underneath, so it can't go down any. If anything, it'll crack the slab and get a little crack in it, but it ain't going anywhere. So that's the plan, and I'm sticking to it. So anyway, I wanted to give you guys an update as to what I've been doing all day. We had to go into town and pick up the block and the Type S mortar mix and that stuff. I had to bring a couple of bottles of water up here to mix with because there's no water on site right now. The guy that's living here has to carry bottled water himself just to wash up at night and cook and wash his hands and face and brush his teeth. He's got to have bottled water for that. So we're trying to get that alleviated, get this thing set up to be the way it's supposed to be, and we'll go from there. So thanks for joining me, everybody. This is G Bear saying, don't forget, give me a thumbs up down there. Don't forget to subscribe down there. Don't forget to share with your friends down there. You know all that stuff. I don't have to remind you. This is G Bear signing off.